So both sides say they're ready to compromise and get to work for the American people, but will that last? I want to bring in Sarah and Jared. Sarah is, I'm sorry, Sarah, do you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
I'm Sarah Isger-Flores. I'm the Deputy Communications Director at the Republican National Committee. Thanks for having me.
And I'm Jared.
And Jared Bernstein, of course, a former advisor to
right.
VP Biden. Sarah was added at the last minute. We really appreciate your joining. Sarah, I'll start with you in that case. The cover of the latest New Yorker showing a huge elephant sitting in the Oval Office. What can Republicans do in specific legislative terms to make good on the promises of compromise with the president?
I think that our Republican candidates ran on a number of issues that the president can now take up. The Keystone Pipeline comes to mind immediately. Many of the infrastructure projects that McConnell and Boehner were speaking of as well. I think that the frustrating part for a lot of voters is that the president doesn't seem to have heard what happened on Tuesday. He said his policies were on the ballot, including his economic policies. His policies were roundly rejected on the ballot, and yet the president still doesn't seem to understand that and doesn't seem to acknowledge that that's what's happened. I think that's disturbing.
And Jared, we heard the president really emphasize this economic message. Are there specific economic policies that can gain bipartisan support that he can emphasize to back up that talk?
Well, you know, interestingly, and here's an area where I disagree with Sarah's opening comment, one of those areas is the minimum wage. Now, I don't think there's going to be a lot of bipartisan support for increasing the minimum wage here at the federal level, but we saw 4 or 5 increases in very red states.
Right.
And that's very much part of the president's agenda, so I think instead of contradicting what he said, it actually corroborated it. I was also happy to hear Sarah say something about infrastructure. I actually hope that area where both sides can get together, because it would help create employment, and typically it's been an area that partisans have agreed on.
Sarah Isger-Flores, Deputy Communications Director for the RNC, and Jared Bernstein, MSNBC contributor and economic advisor to Vice President Biden. Thank you, both of you, so much for the time. Appreciate that last-minute shuffle. And we all know who you are.
Thanks
now.
for having me.
Up next, one of the most elite